Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to see you here in LCCA House. Today we will talk about the Canadian market. We are expecting presentations from the Canadian Embassy in Latvia, the LIA representative office, and entrepreneurs which are already working in the Canadian market. Some technical information of the seminar will be recorded, so everyone has to speak into the microphone. If you have any question, please raise your hand and I will assist you with the microphone. And before we will start with presentations, I would like to give the floor to the head of the Department of Foreign Affairs, Katrina Zan.
Hello, everyone. I'm very happy to have all of you here today. When I got in a conversation with the embassy and they told me that they would like to increase our economic relationships between Latvia and Canada, I was really happy because from number of surveys with our members, we see that there is interest about the Canadian market. And we actually see that our members are more and more interested in the markets outside European Union. So it's a good sign. But what we also see that we need to educate our members about those markets, possibilities there, and opportunities. So I'm really happy to have all of you here, and thank you to the embassy for their willingness to be here and cooperate with us in this seminar. And as I always say, I hope there will be a lot of new businesses after this seminar, new business ideas, new business cooperations, and new business deals and new markets. So enjoy this afternoon and get as much as possible out of this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you, Katrina. And so we will start with our today's keynote speaker, Nicholas Lepage, Consular and Regional Senior Trade Commissioner in Baltics. Please, Nicola, the floor is yours.
So thank you very much for the introduction. Thank you very much for coming in great number this afternoon, taking the time to come and meet with us and listen to talk about Canada. I think your last point was really in the spirit of what we want to do. It's to address and to put the right people in the room. The more people we meet, the more connections we make in one way or the other, the stronger the bilateral trade relation between Canada and Latvia is and will be. I think we are starting on a strong foundation, but I think there's a very large opportunity to grow that relation, and that's what we are here today to talk about. Would like to extend our sincere appreciation to the Latvian Chamber of Commerce for hosting us here this afternoon. We're very happy to be here. And we will be back. I'm already saying that, so that's the end of the presentation. But the reason is that we need to engage and to further discuss and see what can be done, what synergies can be created. We'll have the opportunity also after to hear from I call her our colleague Elze from the LIA office in Toronto, because that's a very instrumental part of what we are doing. Our role here is to help Canadian companies interested in the Latvian market. Our role is to help Latvian companies interested in the Canadian market. We no longer live in a world where it's a one way in one side and a one way in the other side. We live in a much more complex environment where we need to be also mindful that if we help you to go to Canada, there may be benefits for Canada, and if we help Canadian companies come here, there's maybe benefits for the Latvian side. So it's really the bilateral side that we are trying to develop. I'm here today with my colleague Irena from the embassy, our trade commissioner here in Latvia. When I talk about foundation, she has been a foundation on the trade because she has always and be the only trade person at the embassy, but we'll get to that point a bit later. Let's start the presentation. So we go. I will talk a lot because I talk a lot and maybe not follow the presentations, but don't worry. Presentation will be shared with you after, and we are remaining here after the event if you have questions. What is always very difficult is you are all from different sectors. So this presentation is not specifically on IT, on advanced manufacturing, on clean tech, or any of those specific sectors. It will be broader, but specific questions, we're happy to address them after. 4 points I want to cover today. So to talk a little bit about where we are and why I'm here in front of you today, so Canada and the Baltic. Talk about our commercial relationship because that's the foundation in what we have. We have tools to grow that, our free trade agreement, and why we think Canada is the best partner for Latvia. Canada and the Baltic. So without going into a long nor historic or going back into all our relationship, we have a strong relationship that dates back to many, many years where we have a very strong people-to-people connection, mostly based on a lot of Latvians that immigrated to Canada, few generations, and now we have grown into that connection. We shared a number of very strong values, and Canada has been supporting to independence, to accession to NATO. You have been early first supporter of our free trade agreement in the EU. So there's a very long history of connections between Canada and Latvia. More recently, since 2017, Canada has been a very strong partner for Latvia on the defense side. As you most probably all know, Canada is a framework, the NATO framework country here in Latvia, currently with about 8,000 soldiers. And last summer, it was announced that we will more than double that presence, where Canada will have over 2,000 soldiers present here in Latvia. Why this is important? No doubt that the defense and the military presence is important, but our engagement goes beyond just saying we want to be a defense military partner. It was announced last year that Canada will be engaging not just on the defense in Latvia, but in the Baltics. We had a small presence, office in Estonia and Lithuania, and in July 2023, in September 2023, we have upgraded those offices to a full-fledged embassy with a dedicated ambassador. Those presence are extremely important because there's not a lot of G7 or of large countries like Canada to have 3 embassies, one in each of the Baltics, with a resident dedicated ambassador. So we're engaging on the military side here. Pan-Baltic, we have decided to engage also on the political side with those new embassies. And on the trade side, we have also decided to increase our presence. How we have done that? We have created a new position, Counselor for the Baltics, that is looking only at commercial affairs, economic relation between Canada and the Baltic. That's me. So I'm covering the 3 Baltics based here in Riga. This is the first time that Canada has a Canadian diplomat, Canadian Senior Trade Commissioner, Counselor based in the region only looking at trade. It's good, but I need a team. So we have also created new trade commissioners to support and to work with Irena. So we have new trade commissioner in Estonia, new trade commissioner in Lithuania, full-time resources only dedicated to build our commercial bilateral relations with the Baltic. So this is a new architecture, this is a new structure, and this is how we see defense, political, and trade and economic relations. On that third pillar, that's the one I'm responsible. So that's why you're important to me. That's why we want to grow that relationship. We already have a very strong base. Canada last year exported about $400 million to Latvia, about 83 million from Latvia to Canada. When we look at that picture, we see that, oh, Canada is so much more engaged in exporting to Latvia. However, out of that 400 million, $350 million are aircrafts. We're very fortunate. Air Baltic is buying a lot of new aircrafts, the A220, and those A220 are manufactured in Montreal, my city. So it's good for the people there. They have good jobs. They are assembling aircraft that are bought by Air Baltic. A220, it's not a Canadian company, it's Airbus, good for them, good for the people that work for them, but it shows as a Canadian export because it leaves Montreal coming to Latvia. So I like to see the stats without aircrafts because it's skewed a little bit how we see the picture. When we look at that picture, Latvia is exporting much more than Canada. So which is good because our target is to have maybe balance. So we have something to bring so we can grow together. Since pandemic, we see that we have surpassed what was before the pandemic, but more importantly, we are on a growing path. Number of different areas, imports in Canada from consumer goods to metal parts and so on and so forth. Obviously, you see aircrafts, 351 out of 400, but then some other products and areas to grow. I will very often come back to that two words, areas to grow, three words, areas to grow. I think, yes, we have a good base. What we can do more to continue to grow our presence. We have Latvian companies present in Canada. We have Canadian companies already present in the Baltic. Those are companies that have decided to invest either in Canada or in Latvia. Canadian CGI on the IT side, Circle K, that you're all familiar for their coffee and hot dog, not for their fuel. It's Canadian company. Printful has a large presence also in Canada. And we could expand the list. It's just to give you an ideas of what we have. So based on what we have done in the past, what we see in the future and new areas of potential interest and how we can grow that commercial bilateral relation, we have identified areas of potential synergies where we can grow. Clean tech and renewable energy sector, the energy transition, the energy security is an extremely important area for the future of our economies. Same in Canada, same in the Baltic. So everything that can be done, technologies that can improve our energy efficiency, lower our emission, produce new form of energy, being hydrogen, other means of moving that energy transition faster. I think we need to look at what can be done between Canada and Latvia. Energy security is another very big area. you know why being here, but what Canada can be done in that area. Innovation in the digital sector, cybersecurity being used on the military side, on the civilian side. Those are areas that we found that there are some synergies to be created where Canada and Latvia can share startups here that have technology that could be embedded into larger systems. Canadian startups that have small technology that could be embedded into a larger platform here. Two SMEs working together going elsewhere. A large company like CGI working with a smaller SME startup because they have innovative technology. I think this is the new world we live in. It's no longer just large corporation working with small companies or large with large. I think there's all sorts of different combination. Agri-food, technology, machinery. Obviously, with our presence, the defense procurement, our defense industries can work together. And a lot of what we are doing in Canada, we don't produce large fighter jets or tanks. We are into technology, secure communication, drone, anti-drone, cybersecurity, all those areas that can, I think, build stronger security for here, but also ways to work together. Last point, and something we see more and more, academic partnership. Canada announced in November that we are now an associated member of Horizon Europe, the large R&D program at the EU level. So we are now part of that program, so we can collaborate. Canadian institution, European institutions, Latvian institutions. Research centers in Canada, research centers here. And opens a lot of new opportunities that before January 1st were not there into academic partnership. And we have already seen interest from different Canadian universities to see how they can work with the Latvian University, RTU, and others. So I think that's something into, again, mostly on the tech side, mostly on the science side, but this is an area that could be very interesting to continue to develop. In 2017, Canada and the EU agreed on the entry into force of our Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement, CETA. CETA is our free trade agreement, is a tool that removed almost all tariffs into all goods from Europe, from Latvia, going to Canada, and the other way around, so goods from Canada coming to the EU. It's a very complex, very long. I will not get into the details of CETA. The agreement is about 1,400 pages. If you don't want to sleep at night, you just read it and for sure you will fall asleep. But there are two things besides the removal of all the tariffs. There are two areas that I think are important for SMEs, for Latvian companies in general. CETA provides access to public procurement in Canada to any Latvian, any European companies without the need or the requirement to be registered or to have an office in Canada. You can be part of those public tenders at the federal, at the provincial, and at the municipal level. Obviously, there are some criteria. Sometimes it's not smaller projects, but I'll show you some stats. We have seen a lot of European companies engaging in those tenders. Soon, there should be one website, one platform where all those tenders will be, so you can search them, you can find new opportunities into the federal, provincial, and municipal tender. The other element that I think is important is everything that is about conformity assessment and certification. Canada keeps its certification processes, standards, and all that, as the EU would do the same. What has changed is that you can get your equipment, machinery, certified here in the EU according to the Canadian standard. Same for a Canadian company, can do certification in Canada according to the EU standard. So it reduces cost, so you don't have to send samples or part of the equipment, the time, so you can do that with your certification authorities here. They need to be approved by Canada, but in each countries there are some certifying agencies that have been approved. Rest is important, but I just want to leave it there for now. Since 2017, which is our base reference of the entry into force of CETA, 25% increase from Canada to the EU, 46% increase from EU to Canada. What we see is that many of the countries that have benefited more are the smaller economies. And in when these are the blue circle, and Latvia is one of those that has strongly benefited from goods export under CETA. If we compare before CETA in 2022, that's the latest figure, full year figure that I had. Exports from Latvia to Canada increased by about 80%, 125% for Canadian goods. So CETA works. CETA is there to help you to be more competitive. So moving to the last part of the presentation, why Canada is your best business partner. You will hear all sorts of different views or cliché about Canada. What you need to understand when you think about Canada, it's a very large country, and what you're doing in one province may not be the same way as what you're doing in another province. And I'm sure Elze from LIA will talk about that. In doing business in Canada, takes almost as much time going from Paris to Montreal than from Montreal to Vancouver. That's the size of the country. So people that are going to Canada for business development, and they say we'll do Montreal, Toronto, Alberta, and Vancouver in a week, not possible. Models that very often people, when they are going to Canada, is to find distributor or different partners in different provinces, because the provinces have very often differences depending on the sector. Some are full responsibility of just the province. Canada is not all those cliché. Canada is a leading, innovative, forward-looking country in a number of areas, from advanced automotive, electric vehicles, batteries, advanced manufacturing, fintech, life sciences, our defense industry. So it's a thriving innovation hub. That's what we bring when you are partnering, when you're working with companies. It's a lot of that innovation. I like to talk about the 7 main reasons to partner with Canada. I can talk hours about those reasons and to go into details of each of them, but it's just to give you a flavor of what it is to do business in Canada, what it is to do business with a Canadian company. Canada has very excellent economic fundamentals. We can get into all the hour-long macroeconomic presentation, but it's just, remember, very strong economic fundamental, highly competitive business environment, and I will flag a few of those examples on why. talented and diverse workforce. A lot of companies are coming to Canada, not just for our innovation ecosystem, not just for partnering with Canada or the access to the US market, but the quality and the diversified workforce they can find, because we live in a global world. Over 200 languages are being spoken in Canada. So companies from Europe coming to Canada, working with people from Asia, Southeast Asia in Canada, give them also advantages to access those markets. So it's how to connect with other places in the world from Canada. Very green economy, which is something that is more and more important. Access to the market, and I'll come back to that, an excellent place to live. A few things when we compare our economy, we always look at the North American platform, very strong growth compared to other G7 countries, which is important. You want to look at places in the world where there's growth. North America is there. There's different indicators every year ranking different countries, how easy or how favorable the business environment is. Canada very often would rank in the top position depending on the surveys or ranks. In North America, you always think of West Coast of the US as being the location for innovation, or if you're in biotech, East Coast of the US. But Canada has 4 countries in the top 10 countries in terms of tech talent in North America: Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal, and our capital, Ottawa. Those are elements that are also important. And when I say Canada is at the forefront and a leading country in terms of innovation, those type of data would support that. Again, in Canada, we prioritize different areas where we see the future is and where we want to go. We have selected 5 areas of the economy that we are investing massively to support innovation, ranging from digital technology, AI, ocean tech, protein, so how to feed the world tomorrow using plant-based and protein-based food, and advanced manufacturing. So all those different clusters have all a different ecosystem that has academia, startup, large companies, and government incentives and funding to support and grow those areas of our economy. Canada has lots of clean energy, and today in the world we live in, many companies being in the IT, into the manufacturing, obviously all the automotive sector are looking at Canada because of our abundance of clean technology. I mentioned access to market. Canada has 14 different free trade agreements. We talked about CETA, but it's not just CETA. We have free trade agreement with South America, with Asia Pacific, and of course with the US and Mexico. So companies that are based in Canada can have their reach extended, not just to North America, not just to Europe, but globally to over 50 different countries. When we talk about Canada, obviously we need to look at our small neighbor to the south, the US, where we have a very strong relationship. Over $2.5 billion every day of trade goes across the border between Canada and the US. Very often, people think that it's the US that are exporting everything to Canada and we're just there buying US goods, but there are more products that are going and services going from the Canada to the US than the US to Canada. Very close and very important relationship. 78% of our exports goes to the US globally. So it's an extremely important partner. And again, being in Canada gives you access to that market. And Canada is a nice place to live. I know it was a lot of information, lots of different stats. I'm happy to answer the easy question. And I see there that our ambassador just joined us. So any our very difficult questions are for him. I'll take the easy one. But you want to say a few words just in the...
Mr. Ambassador.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Brian Swark, Canada's ambassador to Latvia. I missed the first part of your presentation. I'm sorry, Nicolas, but I can see from the end it was, I think it was right on. So I just wanted to say, first of all, hello, because I see one or two familiar faces, but otherwise this is a new group for me to speak with, and that's really one of my main interests, is to interact with more of Latvia, and particularly the business community. So I think most of you here will be aware that Canada has a very strong military cooperation with Latvia here through NATO. We have a very strong and growing presence. And that's the foundation of our relationship together. And as that relationship has matured and grown over the years, when our political leaders meet and they discuss things, they talk immediately right after about we need to have more economic cooperation between Latvia and Canada, and to continue to build the bonds between our countries. That's a large part of why we're here and why we're meeting with you. We want to get to know you. We want to get to know where you have any interest in connecting with Canada, whether it be potential clients, potential partners, distribution model, foreign direct investments, attracting Canadian companies to come here and to show your business, your technologies to them. We're very much open to it. These are, let's say, some of our earlier days. While we've had a long-standing trade program here at the embassy, I think we're coming at our economic relationship with an increased, let's say, capacity and an increased motivation to get to know you and to see where there might be some potential cooperation. So thank you for listening a little bit about Canada. If you have any questions, you now know Nicolas, you know Irena, our colleague, and myself. Feel free to reach out at any time to us, and I look forward to getting to chat with some of you hopefully today. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ambassador.
And good, I started with the same key points he just mentioned. So don't hesitate. The point is we're here to build stronger relationship. If we cannot help you directly, most probably we can refer you to the person that will be able to help you in Canada, one being Leah, main contact for a lot of you, but we're here to generate trade flows between Canada and Latvia. So happy to talk to you after. Thank you.
Thank you very much to Mr. Ambassador and to Nicolas. Do you have any questions? No at the moment, but you do not hesitate to contact embassy directly, or through the LCCI. We will help you to find the answers. So, and now we will continue with the practical stories from our companies, and I would like to give the floor to Marina Obraztsova from Sia Решетиловs. Please, Marina, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to thank you for the invitation to this event and the opportunity to share my company's experience in Canada. My name is Marina Obraztsova, and I represent the Решетиловs company. First, I will introduce our enterprise, what we do and how we do. Решетиловs is an engineering and manufacturing company founded in 1991 with specialization in decentralized wastewater management. We produce wastewater treatment plants of stainless steel, and for today we deliver stainless steel solutions not only for wastewater treatment, but also for water treatment, marine industry, oil and gas, food industry, utility sector, and other industries. We do have our own high-tech production, and for today we have 1,400 references in 28 countries all around the world. Product development process is completely in our hands. So starting from creation of a solution till packaged product manufacturing. So we can deliver the high quality to our customers and produce industrially wastewater treatment plants, which are individually sized and customized absolutely for each project. So some words about specifics of marketing. We work in B2B sector. It means that we sell to other businesses. It is harder, takes longer and more expensive to convert a B2B customer. You need quite a lot of resources, and namely these are time resources, human resources, and financial ability to develop the market. Our products are highly specialized, niche specific, and require industrial marketing. And also the feature of this marketing is that industrial buyers are professionals. Therefore, you need to have enough knowledge about your product. And very often we have to educate our buyers, engineers, and everyone involved in the project, especially during the critical research and analysis stage of the industrial buy cycle. In industrial marketing, the emphasis is on partnerships versus advertising. Gaining a buyer requires a longer timeline. These are months, but more often these are years, and the formation of trust and expertise. Industrial marketing focuses on so-called leads nurturing, building a relationship between you and the buyer and everyone involved in a project. And now about Rishitilos in Canada. So we started to export to Canada since 2008. Till now, we have manufactured 13 wastewater treatment plants for 12 projects. And there should be also mentioned the first precedent in the province of Saskatchewan of decentralized wastewater treatment, and also the first precedent there of treated water reuse. This is the generalized project implementation process in Canada. It is critical to identify how the product gets to customers on the market, identify all stakeholders, and understand whom and when, at which project stage you have to contact, what information to bring, what activities to do to facilitate the project development. So this is previously mentioned leads nurturing, which is the obligatory thing to do in industrial marketing. And of course, as soon as you identify this process, as it is, of course, better for you. Here I identified, by our opinion, the main market entry barriers. The first is that Canadians are the best in wastewater treatment. These can be explained by the developed economy in the country, very high level of access to sanitation, really a lot of good companies and solutions in this field. And how we overcome this barrier, that our product is so that our product is promoted and sold under our Canadian partner brand. The next is certification. I will give you on that two examples. The first is CSA certification. CSA stands for Canadian Standards Association, and in our case, the standards which relate to electrical part of our product. So this is electromechanical equipment, all electrical parts and components. There are two options. One is to certify your production facilities in accordance with the applied standards, but the other is to go through certification on a project-to-project basis when your product arrives to Canada. And we use this second option because together with our Canadian partner, we evaluated that this is less expensive and it is less complicated. For some projects, our partner purchases equipment and even builds control panels themselves in Canada to make the certification easier. Anyway, from our side, we have to deliver the product with CSA certified electromechanical equipment and everything what relates to electricity. Competition. Of course, you have to know your competitors on the market. We do not do any special market studies on that, but get information on competitors from participation in tenders, in projects, and of course, talking with engineers, with customers, which usually are very open to say what is important for them, what they are looking for, what do they expect from a project. Consequently, you should do as locals, but be better, faster, bring advanced technologies and unique benefits to customers. And your price, together with freight costs, should be very competitive and attractive. The very specific, for our case, competition is the one with engineers who insist on centralized wastewater treatment because they can earn much more on that in comparison with decentralization. Lack of references. Here the issue can be that some customers accept references from other markets, but some ones do not accept. Therefore, it is very important at the stage when you are only entering the Canadian market to find such customers who accept references from other markets. Challenges. So conservatism. Even if you offer advanced technology or treatment process, sometimes it is necessary to deliver not so advanced, but the one to which a particular engineer is used to, or which is specified in a tender in a project, just to enter the project. So you need to be very flexible in your offering. We face sometimes that the lowest price is the decisive criterion. When among tender participants could be professional companies and also such who deliver something just called as wastewater treatment plant, but not being that. However, it is not only in Canada, because sanitation and wastewater treatment is still not prioritized as it should be. Therefore, it is preferred to spend as less as possible, of course, not thinking about consequences. Long decision-making process can be on different levels. In some cases, these are bureaucracy reasons. In some, these are public debates, which long a lot, and others. Accordingly, if project development can take years, you should be active and successful on other markets to back up your activities in Canada, and your Canadian partner has to have some parallel business in Canada. In our case, the best is if our Canadian partner gets service or even operation and maintenance contracts, because then we have feedback, which is very important for us as for product developer and manufacturer to improve our product. And also we have access to test data, to references. Canada is a very diverse market. There are regional and provincial differences in laws and regulations to which it is necessary adapt and meet. Also, there are different climate conditions and other aspects which are to be taken into account when developing solutions for projects. We do have quite big time difference between Canada and Latvia, and even if decisions take long, but when you are contacted, it is supposed that you are very fast in answering. Then we have different electricity. What is important for the products like we produce, as in Canada there is 60 hertz electricity and also different voltages for one-phase, three-phase electricity. But in Latvia we have 50 hertz electricity. So it means that your product and everything related to electricity should comply with particular electrical parameters of a job site. And ocean shipping. Just when we decided to work overseas, we developed special dimensions modules which fit inside closed sea containers. And on this photo, you can see the loading process of one of the modules of wastewater treatment plant inside closed sea container, which is delivered to our factory. Benefits. Canada is excellent market to expand into other countries. Actually, it opens for you any market in the world because Canadian solutions, Canadian references are world recognized, and it is very especially good if your Canadian partner is ambitious and ready to grow and expand with you to other markets in the world. For us, Canada has the most complicated technical and technological requirements, and at the same time there is the highest level of professionals in our area. So working in such an environment, we can get great experience, expertise, and knowledge. And of course, we are gaining valuable references which help us to open and to work on other markets. Key success factors, so already showed on our project's implementation process that it's important to find local partner which is ambitious, interested to grow and expand, and to be capable to execute projects with your equipment. And of course, you have to have the same values, the same understanding how to do business. Individual approach is also very important. For example, on other markets, one of our company important competitive advantage is delivery of package plug-and-play wastewater treatment plant. But in Canada, in most of cases, we were ordered just some part of treatment process, namely biological treatment process. Especially when you are just evaluating to entry Canadian market, it is important to evaluate, to feel, to understand based on today's situation on trends that there will be existence of demand for your product or service for a long time, and availability of funding, favorable business environment in your area. Backup from other markets is also important, as mentioned before. And among all of these, belief in your product, in your service, belief in yourself, and of course, hard work. Now I will show some examples of implemented projects in Canada. So this is a treatment plant which we manufactured for picturesque, beautiful golf course in Alberta. This is the treatment station which I mentioned, the first precedent in Saskatchewan for decentralized wastewater treatment and for treated water reuse. This project is situated in Queen Charlotte, British Columbia, and it was a very interesting project because we had to develop a solution for a fisherman resort. Where is a high season and low season. And so we developed a solution with a small plant working at low season and larger plant working at high season. So which allowed to make very significant operation and maintenance savings for customer. And this is till now the biggest project implemented in Canada for industrial wastewater treatment from beef processing plant. So thank you very much, and I'm open to answer your questions.
Marina, thank you very much for your
Welcome.
presentation. At the moment, I see that there aren't any questions, but we will contact you if some questions will come to us.
Of course.
About your presentation.
Of course.
And now I will ask Guntis from Tirdzniecības to tell us about his company.
Okay, she will ask me, Guntis Lohi, head of sales department, to speak about company's Perusa experience in Canadian market. It's a very interesting market, actually very nice to be there. Can I start? I can start. Okay, Perusa are process engineers, and actually first, before I start, I want to say how honored I am to be in front of so many experienced professionals and such high excellences as it's possible today. Perusa, we are process engineers and we build processing equipment for food processing. We have our production in Tirdzniecības here. We started in 1991. Till 1991, we imported equipment from Western Europe, adjusted it so that it works with Baltic raw material. From 2007, we started to develop our own unique equipment to export it. And in 2015, we expanded our product portfolio to packaging, end-of-line packaging and palletizing systems. And in 2020, we expanded again our portfolio to offer also intralogistic systems, not only for food processing companies, but also for logistic companies like DPD, TNT, FedEx, Latvijas Pasts, and so on. Why such a change of product portfolio? Our initial business area, we saw that it's starting to not grow as fast as we wanted to grow our own company. So we needed to find additional things why other countries should buy our equipment. And that demanded that our equipment would become smarter, more efficient, and better than Scandinavian, Icelandic, German equipment. And this is what we do already for 30 years. So we mainly work in three areas: fish processing equipment, robotic packing and end-of-line palletizing, and intralogistic automatic parcel sorting systems. And if we are speaking about Canada, what a country to visit, what a country to go on a trip. I would say I was there myself, and one of the best business trips I had. I couldn't distinguish, is it a business trip, is it a vacation? But we are only speaking about this area, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Newfoundland, because Canada is a huge country, and I completely agree with previous talkers that you have to just look at it. Like initially we thought that, okay, maybe we can get some more, in a week, more companies there, but to visit only companies here, it took 1 week. All the time driving, meeting with companies. So in 2017, we started to receive inquiries from Canadian fish processing companies. And in 2018, from beginning, we started to receive inquiries, but we immediately started to search for a supporting company. We knew that we will not be able to support them because only 2 hours of working time mixes between us and them. So we found a partner in Halifax, Nova Scotia, who could not only support as a service partner, but also as a sales partner. In 2020, we already have exported more than 400,000 worth of equipment to different fish processing plants. In 2021, we started to market packaging and palletizing solutions, and robotic lines. And starting from this year, we are offering new packaging and palletizing lines for Canadian market. What we have observed, Canada are extremely nice customers. Sometimes so nice that they will never say you no, but just disappear. So be careful about that. Yeah, that happens. As previously Reshetilov told, nothing is happening fast. From our first negotiations till actually purchase of equipment, 3 years passed, going forward and backward, forward and backward. And we see that this happens also with the new equipment. For newly marketed equipment, we expect sales maybe next or in 2 years. We, as Reshetilovs, experience the same thing. Make sure to explain the differences between European and Canadian demands in standards and electricity demands. And I was really happy that I heard here that you have a support system that will help you to translate to UL certification and vice versa. There has been drop of demand of seafood in US. That has actually a bit dropped requirement for our equipment in Canada. So things are not growing that fast as we wanted to, because there is a huge opportunity, but taking a drop of demand and change of ownership generations, it takes more and more time to sign deals for larger new plants, because the old owners are saying, okay, no, this will be for the next generation, and yeah, the new owners still are not ready to take, for example, 4 or 5 million worth investment to build a new plant. Over these years, like 4 years, I've heard only one completely new factory being built in Nova Scotia region. And investments are taking place only if there is government subsidies. Yesterday I spoke with our representative in Canada, and this is one of the things that he said, that everybody are waiting, delaying the decisions for investments to the time when government will give money so that they can develop something. And we need to have more. One of the last thing what we have observed is that we need to have more representatives, diverse. We even tried to attract our Seattle representative from US to work on Canada, but also he said, "Are you crazy? That's too far." But Seattle is approximately here, and then Vancouver is already here. What we expect in 2024? Our partners are predicting a mild increase in demand of equipment starting from second quarter, because they expect that in the second half of the year the interest rates will drop. So the companies will start to at least learn to what kind of equipment could be replaced, because labor cost is getting higher and higher. In Nova Scotia region, the unemployment rate has been dropping since 2017, and I think last year it was the lowest in decades. And the companies, to attract employees, they are building houses for employees, insurance, cars, giving a lot of money just to attract people who will work in the rural areas. And what we will expect is that deals will take even more time than before, because companies will wait for funding of the government. But yeah, what we will do in this year is not only service the seafood sector, but we want to enter into alcoholic drinks and drink production areas, where we can offer state-of-the-art palletizing and packaging solutions. So we definitely are looking for more, and I think we will find with Gateway Baltic helps new agents in middle part of Canada, and of course different kind of packaging solutions, not only for food, but now we have inquiry to package paintballs in boxes, which is okay. Yeah, can you do it? Yes, we can. And I will just quickly show it what it does. It creates a box and scotches it. Why such equipment is needed? Because before that there was like two people who are doing this, and each person would cost 2,000 or 3,000 euros per month just for simple tasks to be done. And yes, that's it from us. Different kind of packaging solutions, palletizing solutions. If you need any help to help you solve your labor shortage, contact Perusa. And if you have maybe if you know somebody who can agent us in Canada, also please contact me. And yeah, wish you good luck in Canada. Contact Gateway Baltics.
Thank you, Guntis, very much for your presentation. And one more practical story from Latvian company, HL Studio. Edgars Bušmanis, please, the floor is yours. And
yeah. Hello. So the same as previous speakers, nice to be here. And my talk will be, I would say, only like practical side of it, from what I have seen only in 2.5 months. So this is a completely new company I'm in. I'm a director for glazed structure business, and I will tell you how we got into the Canada, and also why I'm speaking about this market, and what are the plans for the future, of course. Yeah, so glazed structures, unfortunately not so many photos and projects and everything what we have done before, but basically everything that starts with a window, what you can see in your home, that ends up to the very big and huge facades built from wood and wood aluminium. Like, for example, the windows behind you also could be produced in our factory. So, yeah, why Canada? From today, what people from Canada told me about advanced engineering and advanced production, I have put into my slide that they do not like to produce, right? At least in window products, it's not so much. So most of the products, I would say, at least in highly like facade systems, big dimensions, those are imported from Europe, and therefore that's how it is. And the Canadians know how to import. We saw it with CETA and 15 countries, 15 regulations that goes there. But yeah, why Canada for HL Studio, and also for me, why I'm investing my time in Canada. Of course, it's large markets, a lot of people, 40 million, 4 times the Swedish market, which is like for Latvian, the standard export. We want to go to Sweden. And on last year, we all saw that Sweden just, sorry, we have some problems as well. So it's good that we have different markets, different even in terms of not only Europe, but outside of it. And yeah, large market, English speaking. For most cases, of course, some French could help as well. But I think with the English you can do a lot as well. Our experience mostly is in Toronto, Ontario. We went in 1 week as well to Vancouver as well to meet potential customer there. But at the moment, we have customers in Toronto only, like distributors who we work together that import our product and they sell it and install it to the customers in Canada. So classic approach. So in Europe, what we do, we find the contacts, we send the emails, we call them, we use already mentioned gateway or some telemarketing, we use the internet leads and so on. I'm still the, let's say, I like old school approach of doing this. Hard time, you know, but building the trust and relationships. And Canada, I think, shows it the most. And you have to have patience about that. I'll tell you in a second. But yeah, still nothing from the rocket science. Just emails, just calls, and calling, arranging the meetings. We go there, visit them. Yes, we find some common ground, but we produce what they need. And then, let's say, start the process of hard work and patience. And already 2 of my colleagues that spoke today already told us. And you see 3 years also in my presentation. Yeah. So you have to have other markets that goes on, and Canada is gonna take time. So currently we have 3 customers in Canada, all very different. We were lucky that the first one, we sold the first project already in a year, but our projects are a lot smaller than Peruzas and Rashetilos. So mainly our customers are dealers who sell to the private users, like they build private house, and that's where goes like a regular windows, sliding doors, folding doors, facades, and systems like that. And of course, it has to have quite big house in order to ship it, like the glazed structure from Latvia to Canada. But actually, in terms of shipment cost, it's not so much more than send it, let's say, to Portugal via truck. Of course, it takes much more time to do that, but it's not, I would say, the most or the biggest reason not to go to Canada. Yeah, so estimating the third customer, 35 estimations, which usually takes in our business about almost 1 day. If it's a big project for an estimator, to go through it, like 8 hours of job to just get the estimation. Yeah, so we have to do it 35 times for the customer to actually get the first project. Yeah, so if you look for a manager's point of view, it's not a good time to do that. But of course, now when it goes, there we can get those benefits back when we work together. There is a trust. And it was interesting that not before the first order came, the customers didn't come here. They just ordered something. They actually saw, yes, we like it. Then they come. Then they come to the factory. Then they see what you do, and then it can build this relationship and the trust. Then you know that, yeah, there's something gonna happen, you know. And yeah, and another thing. It's different market than the European Union, therefore the windows are different. So most of the things that you produce and make, I would say 80% of time will be differently than here or in the European Union. So we basically build completely new product in terms of the frame, how it's built here in Latvia, in Europe. In Canada, it was completely different, added specification. Yeah, so we have to adapt it, send samples. To send samples to Canada, it takes time, then it comes back, and so on and so on. So be ready for that. Yeah, that's for sure. And the second thing is, I want to speak as well about the customers, or at least from HAL Studio, what we see, the regular customer or the standard Canadian customer. Yeah, I would say we have seen a lot in different ways. All of those three customers are completely different. So we have like a kind of a regular Canadian, if I can say like that. Maybe you will agree on that, or maybe no. Very specific, detail-oriented. You have to know your product like 120%. So he will ask all the questions, all the details, little screws and everything, and maybe the business is not his like the biggest thing, you know. He maybe just wants to know very good your product, so very detailed. Then we have a customer that is like a Jewish person, so complete opposite, you know. Business first. Can we make here money? Is it gonna be working? Can we sell it? And then maybe some of the details of product we have to know. And the third one is a person who is born in Denmark. So Danish person, style, architecture, and then everything else. Yeah. So completely three different customers, and there is like 2-3 types of the product as well what we sell. Yeah. Even in the same market, all of them are in Toronto, Ontario. Everyone is selling like the houses, private market, but totally different, let's say, approach to that. Yeah. But the main thing, it's gonna take slow, and the customer service, that's the number one thing. You have to be ready that if you start to do it, as we saw it from Reshetilos, I think the belief is very important. Yes, we're gonna be there. We're gonna work with you. It's gonna take time. We go there. Yeah. So you have to really believe in your product, and some say that you have to really dig into the market and the needs, and someone will tell you what you have to do. Well, from my 10 years of expertise in export, customer, you have to visit it once. Let's say a whole week, 10 customers, and they most probably tell you a lot about, or only almost everything what you have to know. So just be ready, go there, find out, and be ready to adapt. Here, so our best advantage is that we make huge things. Like a normal window, we make like 3-meter high window that can be open like a door. We make 3-meter sliding doors that there is no kind of bars or anything in like that. Because all the other things possibly could take care of Poland, Lithuania as well. So we do it like very complicated together with engineers. That it's not like a regular kind of engineering production, right? And the turning point as well for us were transport. So we calculate the prices, we send, everything is all right. Oh, it's too expensive to deliver. But then we actually found out some ways. The companies that do this delivery, it's not what maybe typical DHL, but there is a lot of very specific companies on that part. And we found out that it is 2 times, 3 times less expensive actually to make the delivery. And that was the point that, okay, yeah, we see that this could actually work. And Canadian certificate as well. There are sometimes, of course, if it's a big project, government and so on, there is like a Canadian certificate that, okay, you must have, there is no way around that. But if you work in the private sector, there also are some less demands. So there are possibilities to start working if you don't have a certificate. But if you have to invest in this, as it takes so much time, you really have to decide whether I'm going all in on that or I'm not doing that at all. So this is also why we are going through this process now to make the full certification to our product, that we can go into all the projects, not only just in the private house, but all the light commercial, heavy commercial, and so on. So yeah, for me it's less pictures and no videos, but experience is, I would say, quite the same. And I would like to say you that just be ready, believe your product, and if it's like that, go on, and I think you can find very good customers. And one more thing I want to mention as well, Canadians are very friendly, open, and they actually helped us as well a lot to make this product adjustments together for both for them and as well for us. So we will be there. Yep. Thank you very much.
Edgars, thank you very much for your presentation. And our final speaker, Ilze Latgalva from Dalia Representative Office, will tell us about Dalia support and other opportunities which are available in Canada. So, Ilze, do you hear us?
Yes, I do. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you and we can see you. Thank you. So the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I'm gonna start my presentation quickly. Sorry, I'm just gonna do presentation mode. Oops, sorry, I'll go back to the first. Good afternoon, everybody. And I really appreciate this opportunity to be part of this webinar, Latvian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Thank you very much, especially, and also Canadian Embassy, who invited me as well to be part of this event. I would say I'm really welcoming also dear ambassador, and thanks for joining this event, and Nicola Siren from Embassy. I really say I'm very impressed with what I've seen today from Latvian companies. You are so advanced and ready for the Canadian market. You invested so much time and effort to learn, and I would really have a little bit hard time to add as much detail as you do because you are in a market and you work here. But I'm just going to give you a little bit of brief information, what I see, what I do. I have, because it's such a broad market, and also the members are from different industries, I can't really focus on one specific area, but I'm very, very happy to speak with you afterwards. Please do not hesitate to reach out to me, and we can discuss how I can help you. I started my role in Canada in March 2022, and I'm covering all Canada, which means a lot. I am based in Ontario, Toronto area, and definitely it is a large country, so a lot of communications still often happen, especially after COVID, virtually. People prefer a lot of virtual meetings, which is my advantage because traveling across Canada is very, very time consuming, but very necessary. I work very closely with Latvian Embassy in Canada, Ambassador Kaspars Ozoliņš and his team. We are closely working on how we try to address the customer needs, and also how Latvian companies can help these needs to support. So Kaspars Ozoliņš is traveling across country, meeting different companies, and also municipalities and governments, which also give us, we always prepare together how we position Latvia. So as many of you have mentioned, Canada is very open for business. It can take very long time to negotiate contracts and deals, and it actually relates across all industries, what I find. Unless there's immediate need from a Canadian customer that they really, really need, today or tomorrow. It will take a long time. I've seen it across food sector. I have seen it from IT sector. I have seen it from all other sectors that it takes years to often get the deals off the ground. It doesn't mean it's impossible. You just have to be patient. And what I find is also with COVID, I would say contacts reaching, people are overwhelmed with a lot of information coming electronically. I also attend a lot of shows and events in Canada where I just go, have my thought. I work with companies in Latvia and I would say, I'm going to this event, how can I help you? So keep that in mind. We also can partner that way with you. So focus of areas of my role are multiple, and one of them is attracting investors to Latvia. That is also a very lengthy process. It takes years before a first investor probably would do something in Latvia. It's a persistence, it's reminding about yourself, and it's about showing the benefits of choosing Latvia. I am also working on helping companies like yourselves finding partners, understanding the market, and what could be the best way into the market. I advise companies on events. I organized 2 trade missions last year to Canada. One was in IT sector, one was in the food sector. I also help companies to do targeted campaigns, initiatives to communicate with potential partners and find the potential partners. As Nicola mentioned, we have a great trend. COVID a little bit slowed down the growth, but again, we are back growing in terms of exports to Canada, and our sectors, our data probably slightly shows differently. It's how the governments account for data would be a little bit different, and therefore I would say numbers are very similar, but the percentages of growth might be a little bit different. So I would foresee that we are going to be above, for last year, above 100 million euros in exports to Canada, and over multiple hundreds companies because exporting to Canada, which is fantastic, and I can see the trend is only going up. And goods are up by about 31%, at least in the first half of the year, and services up by 71%. And what is very important to know for Latvian companies is that Canadian companies are also looking for partners who are trusted, who they can trust for quality, deliveries, timelines, and if when it comes to services, also the quality of services, that they would not need to worry that something would not launch or not work. Therefore, there's more opportunity for Latvian companies to look that way. So major, I would say some of the trends, and Nicola already mentioned some of the focus that he's seeing, but I would say in terms of IT and other business services, I would say we have a lot of potential still for Canada. Companies are, with the cost of borrowing money and cost of running business with inflation, have been reducing some, want to reduce cost, and very expensive costs are also IT, especially for large companies. And I could see that that is an opportunity for Latvian companies to enter more and more of the Canadian market. And some of the companies you already know from Canada who are actively working in Latvia are Circle K, Couche-Tard, which they have about almost 1,000 people in Riga to support their internal users and customers across North America. And CGI is also expanding and growing in Baltics, including Latvia. And many more, there's some more companies, but that's just to show you that these are the very well-known names in Canada. So that's often is very important for me to mention when I'm attracting investments into Latvia. How do we, what else can we do? And today, the 3 companies shared such a great information. And the common trend, what you can see from today's presentations, is that quality and high engineering experience, automation across various sectors is what we stand for. We can offer a very high quality products and solutions which would solve the problems that Canada is currently facing, which is a shortage of employees. And labor costs are very expensive, employee costs are very expensive, and also people don't necessarily want to work as much in production. They're looking at different sectors. So we definitely have, and I'm seeing a lot of more engineering companies from Latvia, which have a great potential, and I'm happy to help the companies who are presented today also to look and help you to find partners potentially in Canada. Housing crisis, many of you may have heard about it, but it is real in Canada, unfortunately. There are multiple reasons why this is happening, but the main reason what I want to point out that the housing market is continuing to grow and demand for quick, affordable housing is on the rise. For example, Canada would need by 2030 about 22 million housing units. And the plant is around 18.6, but still they would need at least additional 3.3 million units on top of it. How Latvia can play a role in this? We have very advanced industry when it comes to building. HL Studio already mentioned about the windows, but that's one of the sectors. There's also prefabricated modular homes, anything that comes around housing and building industry. How do we respond as LEA to this? I'm working, I'm attending different events during the year. I'm planning to work with also Architects Association, also work with builders on finding the partners for Latvian companies. Especially now we're seeing some drop in demand in the Scandinavia and the European Union region, which is giving a great capacity to supply Canadian market. And what I'm organizing this year is in December is a trade mission, and I'm planning a national stand at the Toronto Building Show, which is a biggest show in the industry. And I can see that how our neighbors are responding to that. For example, Poland past year had 70 companies attending the event. So we definitely need to be there, and please reach out to me, you will be interested, but we'll probably post this mission about end of summer. Tech innovation, robotics, clean tech, everything that comes around modernization, reducing emissions, automation is definitely an area where Latvia, as I mentioned, has great opportunities. Second year in a row, Latvia will be organizing a trade mission to Collision and also a trade show. This is more of a startup, scale-up event, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's only for those companies, but we're planning also a second mission with Bridging for Growth, European Union organization that is a partnership between Latvia, Estonia, Finland, and Sweden. They're also organizing a mission as part of that event. If you are part of a clean tech, you could also join that event with them, and they're actually covering a lot of costs. So I would suggest you reach out to Clean Tech Latvia. If you wanted me to make introduction, I'm happy to do that. Anyway, technologies that are already working well in Latvia, on top of the ones we heard today. Iranus, probably also you heard in Latvia how well they're serving Canadian customers. They actually do have a lot of large Canadian customers, Mikrotik and many more. There are many ways you can look at Canadian market, and it depends, of course, of your product type, service type. You would need the right approach. If you're looking more of about an e-commerce, someone who has a more simplified product that can be applicable to all, could it be some furniture, could it be some cosmetics or other consumer goods, potentially a great tools would be Amazon, would be Etsy, would be Faire. Faire is a very interesting platform that many people may not know about yet, but it's a wholesale platform where you can put up your product, and so stores, wholesale buyers would contact you to source your product. So that I've seen Latvian companies using. Amazon being used by companies like Igloo Play. You know about this, Igloo Soft Play, sorry, and they've been very, very successful in Canadian market as well. And CETA that Nicola mentioned is definitely a major driver of benefits dealing with Latvia and the Baltics and the European Union. And this is a great opportunity for you to use. How do you know if you need tariffs, if your company has tariffs or not? We, European Union, in collaboration with Canadian government, have created a great, specifically, it's a tool for all European countries, but what is really cool that outside of the European Union, Canada is the country that has most information on what tariffs would apply, what would be requirements and regulations. So it's called Access to Market, and you can access from your European Union without any restrictions. And they have a great support, by the way, if you need any help. Again, it helps you to understand the tariff requirements and documentations and preparations to enter Canadian market. You can find also information on business.gov.lv, which is managed by Leah. And here's my contact information. I understand that we can't do a question, maybe session. It might be a little challenging, but please feel free to reach out to me anytime. And I'm happy to work with you and advise you more on the Canadian market. Thank you very much for your time, and thanks for having me today.
Ilse, thank you very much. I think that there aren't any questions, as usual, unfortunately. But if you have, please contact our today's speakers. And it was our final presentation today. So the seminar is over. Thank you very much to all our speakers for useful and practical presentations. And now we have a time for networking with a glass of wine. And today we serve a special Canadian wine from Ontario and British Columbia. So please to the next area. Thank you.